welcome to this week's edition of It's Your City. Thanks for joining us. I'm Courtney Bloomer, and I'm here in the studio at the Brewery Arts Center. This week's guest is Supervisor Lori Bagwell. Lori, thanks for joining us today.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Courtney.
Well, we are thrilled that you're here, and we want to hear about what it's like to be a supervisor and what you've been up to. You've been in the job now for about 3 months. Tell us how that's been and what is your prized accomplishment so far?
Prized accomplishment so far. Well, the job has been everything that I thought it would be, and then more. I've started meeting with different department heads to learn specifically what happens in their departments so that I could see firsthand what they deal with every day, so that I'll be a better supervisor and make better decisions when it comes to the budget. Probably my greatest accomplishment so far is I really feel strongly that the assets of Carson City have begun to deteriorate and that we haven't been reserving any money to take care of those. And I really think it's our job to make sure those assets last as long as possible and the community can enjoy them. So I made a motion a couple meetings ago to make a reserve fund to deal with long-term maintenance. And I was very pleased that the rest of the board supported that. And we also, Supervisor Bronkowski wanted to lower the property tax by 2 cents. So we were lucky. We were able to do both, reserve 2 cents for long-term maintenance and lower the property tax 2 cents for the taxpayer. So not bad for my first 3 months.
Not bad. I know that Carson City during the recession did struggle a little bit, and there was some deferred maintenance as a result of some of those funding shortfalls. So I think it's really great that we're going to be able to address some of those things moving forward now that we're starting to be in a little better situation.
Yeah, and I think we are getting in a little bit better situation. So I think the board in the future meetings is going to be looking to determine what the best use of the dollars are. And again, it's my hope that we put it into capital and into roads, because I know roads is very important to everyone in our community.
Absolutely. Roads are certainly important, and they're one of our biggest assets. So along with roads, what are some other things that you think will be at the top of the docket for the Board of Supervisors? What are some issues you'd like to see them tackle?
Well, I'm not sure. You know, I've been listening to some constituents going around town. One of my commitments during the campaign is that I would go to the people. And so I put a newsletter out after every board meeting, and I've got about 700 residents of Carson that receive that, and I ask them constantly to contact me and let me know what they think. And additionally, I've been attending a lot of community events and talking to people, and one of the issues that seems to keep rising to the top is maybe we need to look at some noise ordinances, and they really want some more code enforcement arenas. So I think those are things we might have to look at as the board as the months come on. And then certainly we're going to be looking at all of the corridor projects, building the multi-purpose athletics center and the animal shelter. So a lot is going on in town, and it's kind of exciting to see all this activity.
It really is a busy time, as you mentioned, and you did just mention wanting to hear from constituents and that you've been communicating with them. I know recently Carson City has been participating in a strategic planning process, and that there were some meetings to invite community input on our future strategic plan and the direction of the city. Were you able to attend those meetings? And what was your takeaway from that? What did you really hear from residents of the community?
You know, I attended one out at Fuji Park, and then I also attended one at the community center. And probably the biggest takeaway that I got is we need to learn how to communicate to get better feedback and more participants. We were able to also do an online version of the strategic plan, which we received more feedback from the online version than we did from the actual meetings themselves. We held some at lunch. We held some, at the dinner time, so that constituents could go either way and what was convenient to them. And it didn't seem to draw a lot of responses. So I can't decide whether they weren't as interested in that, and they'd rather sink their teeth into a specific issue than general issues, and that maybe community input is better when we're able to ask them a specific question.
Right. So what, moving forward, do you think, how would you handle those meetings differently in the future? Do you think you would have individual meetings, more like the meetings that were held with regards to the downtown project, where there was a little bit better participation?
I think that town hall type meetings where we go into the community, and maybe not even just at the community center, maybe we have 5 supervisors or 1 mayor and 4 supervisors. Maybe we actually take a segment and go into a community and talk to them and just really visit. We go to the coffee shops. We go to some non-traditional locations to ask people what they really think. I just
meet people where they're at.
Meet people where they're at. That's exactly it, Courtney. You know, maybe you're in their backyard and it's easier for them to talk than to think they're going to come to a public meeting.
Right, it can be really intimidating for people to feel like they have to get up and speak in front of other people who may or may not agree with them. That can be scary for some people.
Very. And yet what I find when I'm out in the community, they don't have any problem telling me what they think.
They're more than happy
to let me know. You know, you can do a Costco on Saturday and learn a lot about what the community thinks.
Absolutely. So I think that's a great idea, and something that I think a lot of people in the community would welcome is, you know, a more informal style of meeting where they get to talk to you. I know that some of the supervisors have, you know, walks or breakfast type meetings and things like that. Do you think that is a venue that you could provide a specific topic for and then use that as an opportunity to talk to people?
I do. I think those are great opportunities. One of the things on my campaign that I said I was going to do quarterly is pick a different neighborhood, and that I'd go and knock on doors, that I'd bring my questions to them.
Right.
So I did that the other day.
And
How's
it going?
Oh my gosh, Courtney, it was hilarious because the first guy says to me, he goes, "Well, you're not running, you already won." I said, "No, I promised you that I would come back and ask you how I was doing." And so I think he was truly surprised that I didn't want anything but to truly know what he thought.
And did he tell you what he thought?
He did. He didn't have a lot to say because I think it took him by
surprise. He was a little shocked.
So I'm not sure we shouldn't come up with some little vignettes or things that we want to talk about, and that we do. We go forth and take that message out and say, hey, you know, we're thinking on doing X. What do you all think about that? And then we can, each of us as independently as supervisors, come back and say, hey, this is what I learned when I was in the community.
The people of my ward are, you know,
yes, this is what they think. This is what they think. I don't know if we would get more responses, but I know that I'd like more than the same 50 or 100 people that comment. I would like to broaden the basis for our decisions.
Well, I think that's a really creative way to go about it, and I'm sure that once they're over the shock, your constituents will really appreciate your dedication to using that method to get some of their input. One of the issues here in Carson City that we're facing right now, and also along with our neighbor California, is the drought. And this has been going on for a while now. Governor Jerry Brown in California just announced mandatory water rationing cuts by 25% in the state of California. Do you foresee something like that happening here in Carson City as we move forward with still very little rain? There's a little moisture maybe in the forecast for this coming week, but probably not enough to turn it around for us. So do you think water rationing is going to become an issue here in Carson City?
Well, yesterday at our board meeting, I asked the city manager when we were going to have a report, because I'm concerned, and I think that the residents of Carson City, after watching the news and seeing what's going on in California and even in Truckee Meadows, that there's a concern. So at the next board meeting on April the 16th, we'll have a report from our Public Works Department on whether or not we have to do any rationing. I don't think we really will have to, because I think we're fortunate in Carson City that our water comes from different sources, but I think it's good to conserve anyway. And so I think that's kind of the message we'll get, but I look forward to getting a report out to the public.
I think what you're saying makes a lot of sense. It makes good sense to conserve. We might be in a good situation now, but you know, we don't know how much longer this drought's going to go on. We're about 4 years in now. Is it going to keep keep happening. I know
Gosh.
that I'm not going to plant a garden this year just for that reason. I'm worried about using too much water to water it. So I would be interested, and I'm sure lots of other residents too, about what our situation is here in the community.
Yeah, I look forward to hearing the report at the next meeting.
Absolutely. Now, we were talking before the show started that you got to participate in a really fun and exciting and kind of historic event that took place right here in Carson City, the opening of our very own Pony Express station. Tell us a little bit about what that means for our town and how that's going to benefit our residents.
I am just so ecstatic. I got to meet, and I'm going to see if I can get the horse's name right. I am Starbuck is his technical name, and the horse Dandy, that both participated in the last ride from Sacramento to Missouri. So what we're doing in Carson City is at the Nevada Day store. It is Pony Express station number 1. And we are the only active Pony Express station in the United States. So I think it's really an opportunity for tourism and everything else to recognize that they can come and learn about the Pony Express. And here's the greatest part that we can do. On the last Saturday of the month, you can come and there'll be the horses. I wonder if they're really ponies, but they're horses.
They're horses.
They were horses. And post a letter and you'll get a Pony Express stamp for it, and then they'll take it on the horses over to the post office.
So you will actually be able to mail a letter from the Pony Express station. As people who are residents of Carson City may or may not be aware, Carson City was a stop on the original Pony Express. And so this is a great way to preserve some of that history. And how fun that you get to mail a letter from our station and have it delivered on horseback, even if it is just to the post office and not all the way across the country.
I want to say, I think it's October that I just heard this morning. I was learning that they'll do the full ride from Sacramento to Missouri. So you could get your letter in that one too, that you could mail it. So go to the Nevada Day store on Telegraph and fill out the form to say I want to do one of the letters for the real Pony Express ride.
For the Pony Express re-ride in the fall. And so great opportunity for everyone in Carson City who wants to take part in our own little piece of history.
It was really neat, and I think it's something that it's who we are, it's what Carson City is, and what a super historical stop that will be for tourists.
Absolutely. That combined with the ride coming through in the fall will certainly be a great tourism draw for our community.
I look forward to it.
Absolutely. Well, Supervisor Bagwell, thank you so much for joining us today. It sounds like you really hit the ground running and are getting really involved in the community and everything that's involved in being a supervisor. Do you have anything else that you want to add, that you want to tell the community about what's going on before we wrap up for the day?
Just I want to say how much I appreciate all the input, positive and negative, because you can only learn when the residents talk with you. So I really appreciate your comments, and keep them coming.
Absolutely. Thanks for being here, and thanks all of you for joining us for this week's edition of It's Your City. Join us again next week.